Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week to discuss the latest episodes. You can catch our recaps anytime on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Subscribe for free in the app of your choice or on YouTube. For those of you joining us live today, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am Tamara Ford and I love a good TV show and a good book, of course. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Recap Pods. If you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey Tamara, hey everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author and I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. You can find me all across the web at Lisa Orban Author.
All right. And before we get going, we just want to remind you that we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live on YouTube or Facebook right now, hit us up in the comment section. If you're catching this on a replay, you can still comment on any platform or by using the Speak Pipe voicemail in the show notes link. We want to hear from you and maybe even include your comments in an upcoming episode. So if you are new here, welcome. We are laid back in our review style, aren't we, Lisa?
Very. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns. We jump around. Huge spoiler alert for everything from this point back. Not forward, but back. All shows, all that stuff. So if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. And we should just jump right on in. What do you think?
All right, sounds good.
All right.
So,
So let's see. First up, dun, 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 Fear the Walking Dead.
dun
Yes.
dun. Yeah.
Dun dun.
So what did you think
uh
of this episode?
You know what? Okay, so I feel like two ways about it. My instinct after I watched the episode was like, wow, that was fun. I liked it.
Uh-huh.
And then after I sat on it for a little bit, I'm like, I think the writers are confused. And the reason why I say that is because while it was fun to watch, and all the little quirky campy things, I'm like, Fear isn't really a quirky campy show, is it?
No, I mean, okay, so overall, I I really enjoyed this episode, okay? I what I but I'm gonna go with the fight scene in, in the gym was, like you said, campy,
Yeah.
and I have just chosen to ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had a fun ass time watching it. I'm like, oh shit, she doing wrestling moves on the walker.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? And I did say, what is happening? But I had a good time watching it. But then I'm like, that doesn't really okay.
Well, I mean,
I,
and as I'm watching the whole thing, as they're going after all the zombies around the wrestling mat and everything, I'm thinking they all have knives. They all have knives.
yeah.
And so, but no, they're hitting him with a chair. They're jumping off the ring, and the pile driver, and yeah, and I don't know. I don't. I'm not sure why they decided to do that. I mean, I guess I kind of do. The fact that, so I really did enjoy when, like, when Dwight realized when he first realized who he was. Something that we really don't see on this show very much is that giddy, starstruck fandom thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
We've had a famous person, and he was, a bad guy, and
Right.
you know, but even and we have had on occasion some, quote unquote famous people show up here or there. But I really did enjoy Dwight because the look on his face lit up. Oh my god, I know who you are. you know, and it was like this
Yeah.
connection back to his childhood, to the life before, to this time when, life wasn't what it is now, and it was really, I really did enjoy watching that interaction, so I guess they decided that, to just really lean into it and go full tilt. I do hope going forward, since she is staying on here, that they don't resort to WrestleMania every week.
I know,
So,
like, settle in, right? Like,
yeah.
this was a fun kind of outlier type episode,
Mhm.
which, allowed us to meet a new character and allowed us, I guess, which is also interesting because they had some very serious things happening in the same episode.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
tone was all over the place. So
Well, you get a very Bonnie and Clyde kind of feeling, from Dwight and, what's her name? And
Sherry.
Sherry,
Yeah.
thank you. You know, did you feel that? Because I really got that Bonnie and Clyde are, some kind of a, old-timey outlaws, Butch Casting the Sundance Kid type thing.
Yeah,
Um
totally. I like the vibe they were giving off.
Mhm.
I liked all of that because, they need to work on their relationship and this is how they managed to do it.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you though, as soon as I saw them ride up on those horses, I looked at them like, "Oh my god! That's gonna be Dwight! I know it's gonna be Dwight!" And I don't even know why. I just knew it. And and as soon as he started to talk, like, "I was right, it was Dwight."
Yeah.
I was happy with myself. Um
So like, okay, so I'm waiting on you to say something like, so is the apocalypse kind of over or what? Like, I mean, no,
No,
they're riding around. They're not really, these two particular, they're not really concerned with readings that much. They're not carrying things, trying to, like, even when, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but even when they came across, Strand's guys, and
Mhm.
Strand's guys, one guy says, "Oh, the rings are safe. You can take your hoods off." They just do it. They
Yeah.
just do it. They just trust some random dude they never met
Well, but, I
before.
mean, they took theirs off too, so, I mean, I guess,
I mean,
you
it could
know,
have been a setup. I mean, the guy
it
could already be dying.
it's true. But I mean, I think that's part of but I kinda think that's kinda human nature though. The
Ugh,
emulation, monkey see, monkey do.
I guess. I don't know. I just felt there were things that didn't quite click. They wanted me to escape from what was actually going on in the background for a minute. That's what I felt like
Mhm.
they wanted me to do, but I don't know, it was still there kind of in the back of my head, like, if I wanted to nitpick, right?
Right.
Like, there were things that didn't just jive completely with what's all the other things that are going on, because they're riding all around town, saving people here, saving people there, whipping their
Mhm.
mask off. I'm like, "Okay, okay, y'all. I
I gotta tell
guess
you, those
we're
are
good."
well-trained horses, though. Did you notice how well-trained those dogs those horses were trained like good dogs. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they've had them a long time, especially the one that's kicking. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, and the thing of it is you can train horses to do all sorts of things. The war horses, that were brought into battle were specifically trained to do all sorts of things in defense of their riders. So, nothing on that scale actually was out of place. I was just pretty impressed that, they had managed to train the horses that well. Um, that's the first time I've really seen well-trained horses on the show.
I mean, I guess we can assume that they had some free time between, I don't know, hiding out in the shelters and maybe testing to see if the air was good to come up and train the horses. I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, and I again, we don't we know that not all of the nuclear warheads went off. They went off in a flower pattern, and so we don't know where all they went. We don't know how big the area is. There's many things we don't know about what's going on, and everything seems to be very hit or miss. Of course, back in my head is how are these horses surviving? They're taking them through areas where they know it's not safe, and they're all bundled up, but the horses are not. And
Right.
so I mean, I really am kind of having a hard time with the horses. Not that I don't like them, not that they're not useful. It's just that in reality, these horses should not look this good. I mean, I mean, we're talking there's radiation and the grass that they may be eating in contaminated areas would be making them sick. And even if they survive, because, Chernobyl showed us that, wildlife can bounce back, but I mean, there are issues, you
Yeah,
know, and these horses look really healthy. And
they are healthy. They are healthy, running around, following orders. They look like they eating good every day.
yeah,
They look good.
and I mean, in a nuclear wasteland, let's face it, those house horses should not look that good.
I know.
They should be patchy, and probably thinner, and I mean, these. And of course, you're not gonna mistreat a horse on the set, I get that, but I mean, a little makeup, a little whatever, but I mean, their coats should be dull, there should be ulcers on them. Honestly.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things that I'm having issues with, but, okay, fine, I'm trying really hard not to let the reality of a nuclear wasteland intrude
look.
upon this
It's
show.
your fault this is in my head now, right? Like, we talked about this every week,
I
and now
know.
that's what I divert to. And like I said, while I was watching it, I had fun with it. I was
Oh, yeah.
laughing. I was like, "Ah," but then later I'm like, I liked it, but,
Yeah, I know.
you know.
Honestly, there's a lot of things that they could have done, and I really think nuclear war was probably one of the stupidest. It's like, here's a hat full of stupid ideas. Pick one, and this is the stupid idea they came up with.
Yeah,
Um. So, but I don't know. Anyway, but I'll tell you what, that whole I loved it though when um when Dwight and Sherry were presented to Strand. And Strand's reaction, "Oh my god," he was tickled.
yeah. He's
Um,
like, "You too? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it."
but I
Mhm.
think in the back of his head though, because, he remembers Sherry from how feral she had become, and Dwight being pretty much a follower. I think he thought he could easily manipulate both of them. I think that's why he was so happy. And but he didn't. I don't think it ever really connected with him the fact that the reason that Dwight and Sherry are where they are right now is because of where they were with Negan, you know, when they went through that whole thing, when, and saw and lived everything that Negan put them through, and both of them are going, "Oh my gosh." You
Strand
know
doesn't know anything about Negan.
yeah. And, but Sherry even said, "The
So,
fact that you are calling this,
yeah,
sanctuary, tells me
right.
everything I need to know."
Right. So they are drawing lines. They're always
Mhm.
comparing what's happening to what happened in the past
Yeah.
for themselves and for situations in general.
Mhm.
And that
And
is
not
something
necessarily in a
that
bad way. This it's
no,
you need to learn, and because both of them made terrible mistakes,
right.
you
So,
know?
unfortunately for Strand, that is something he's not aware of.
Mhm.
So his it didn't go the way he wanted.
No. No, I think he thought, because, let's face it, I mean, Dwight really doesn't he is and always has been a follower. He just is, Um, and he always took his lead from Sherry or from Negan or Daryl and then Morgan. Um, Dwight's not a good independent thinker. You know what I mean? It's not a
Mm,
strong suit.
mhm.
Um, and I know that I know that Strand was really basing his ability to push them around and go, "Oh, look, I'll give you this nice place to live and all of this food and blah 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 blah. And all you have to do is retrieve this one person for me." And I did find it really strange as he's walking them all around that he did not ever let them see any of the other people that Dwight and Sherry knew,
I know. Like, why is that? That's strange.
because I don't think Strand ever intended on them coming back. I think he wanted them to bring, what's her name back, and I think he planned on killing all of them.
Mhm.
I because that solved his problem. Because the thing of it is if they went to go retrieve her, she could have told them how she got out.
Yeah, and that's why she knew he wanted her back so bad
Mhm.
because, like, look at this outfit. Look, okay, she's got, like, the what she use, Yellow Pages and stuff?
Yeah, she's using phone books and, like,
Yeah,
a
some
cookie
phone
sheet
books. Yeah,
and, a cupcake
and a
sheet on
cup
the back.
yeah. She has
Yeah,
finagled some stuff. I'm like, "You go, girl, that's very smart." And
yeah,
you're right. Strand would want her back just so no one could figure it out. But you
yeah.
know what, though? That's also ironic because, like Sherry said, clearly the woman does not want to come back here.
Mhm.
If she doesn't come back there, no one will figure out how she left.
Right.
So what I mean, he's
Because I think what Strand's afraid of is that she could run into someone like Morgan and mention, because she hates him and Morgan hates him, "Oh, I got," because I don't think he realized that she just walked out the front door. I think
No.
he's afraid that she found their secret way in and out.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah.
And so he doesn't want her to share how she got in or out of that place. Now if he realized that it was just her and a, shit ton of, phone books that
Phone books.
bullied their way through.
He'd probably be like, "F it, let her stay out there."
Right. But I think
Yeah.
his fear is that she figured out, because I think that there's more than one way in and out.
Mhm.
And I think he's afraid that she has figured out one of their secret passages. And and the one thing Morgan does not want is people to have unfettered access to his building. He wants it so only he controls who comes in and who goes out. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think, when he sent Sherry and Dwight out, I don't think he had any intention of having them come back alive. You know, um, that if they did bring him, they would meet him, obviously, but I think he would have killed them, all of them.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about Strand for a minute. I feel like Strand is getting darker by the episode. So, yeah, we saw when we first saw him earlier this season, he did push, oh boy right off the roof, right? He did do
Mhm.
but now he's like sending out contract killers to kill families.
Mhm. Well, and even in those pictures, the pictures that are up all over the wall,
Yeah.
um, which creeped Sherry up in particular. Dwight didn't like him. But as Dwight's looking through those Polaroids, I mean, it's not just the dead that have been dead for a while. I mean, these are Strand's trophies. These are, Strand is specifically targeting people,
Mhm.
and the fact that he sent them out to kill this family for no other reason than as a way to push Dwight and Sherry, thinking that it would make them do what he wanted, you know, is just, he's gotten bad. His need to be right, his need to dominate.
Right.
Um, and I think I truly believe that he is killing anyone that may know where Padre is, that could be strong enough to possibly rival him. Except he'll let Morgan live because, as long as Morgan's alive, he can rub it in his face. "Oh, look, I'm doing better than you." Um, and, but he's literally trying to decimate anyone who might challenge his authority at this point, aside
I'm
from
feeling
Morgan.
like his motives are weak at best. Like I don't really grasp to me just ha 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 look what I've done is not a good motive for what you're
No,
doing.
it's not, but I mean, but think about it. I mean, he's entirely ego driven. He's always been ego driven. Everything he's done from the very first episode and that he arrived in on this show, he has been driven by ego, and nothing has changed. He's just gotten worse.
Yeah,
And
but okay, so, like, to the level of he is killing innocent now that is something I think where he has gone from gray to dark.
yeah.
I feel like before, obviously, he's never quote unquote a good guy, but he wasn't outright villainous. And I feel like he is crossed over into that villain territory now
Oh yeah.
because of that. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
why? That's dumb. Like, that's dumb.
The thing of it is megalomania. n- it's a need that needs to be fed. and I think he wanted Sherry and Dwight to do his bidding. And when they flat out told him no, I think it pissed him off.
Yeah.
And I think he figured, "Oh, okay, fine. I'll take the only reason away that you guys have right now to do this. If I kill
Mhm.
this family, then but not let you know if they think that, you know, um I don't think he thought he would be discovered, you know.
Mhm.
So he'll kill him off. They'll assume that it was, someone else that they upset or it was a random act of violence. But whatever, but with that family gone, the thing that was tethering them to this area is gone, and they'd be more than likely to go after um the bride.
And it
So,
almost worked,
and
right?
it
It
almost
almost
worked.
worked. But Sherry's like, "No, that's dumb as fuck. I'll be back. You sit here and think about it. I'll be back. I'll
Yeah.
be back to get you."
Well, and Sherry has, even though Dwight was technically with Negan longer than Sherry was, Sherry really had the worse end of that deal, you know? And she is really sensitive to anyone. I mean, she was even skeptical about Morgan, because she's afraid of anyone trying to exert, and that
Authority over
kind of.
her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Morgan is a big red flag for her right now. I mean, huge. And I don't think she liked him much to begin with, you know.
No one likes Strand. Like he when you first meet him, it's not like, "Oh, this guy is great." It's like he looks
Mhm.
like, "What the is this guy about?"
Exactly.
You know?
So and in a way, I mean, Strand is, he's a little bit of he's a little bit Teddy. He's a little bit Negan. Um, he's arrogant and he thinks he knows the only right way, and he is vengeful, and and everything is always about him, you know.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I think he's going to get darker. I think he
How
is
dark?
definitely
Do
going
you
to.
think he's gonna kill a lot more people or
I think it's going to be he's going to get crueler. And we really saw the beginnings of that cruelty last week. Um when eh, uh what's her name came for Wendell. And he's like,
yeah,
"Nope, you can't go in. And if he comes out to see you, he can't come back." You
right.
know. And he took a great deal of pleasure from that. So I think that right there was the beginnings of where we really saw him going from him being his regular snotty self to something darker. And then
He takes pleasure out of every moment that he can one up anyone or take
Mhm.
advantage of anyone. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. He is giddy off of any situation where he looks like he's winning.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. And like I said, he may kill everyone around Morgan, but he will keep Morgan around to the very end because for Strand this has become a game. And the game is I win by making Morgan lose everything.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I mean I would not be surprised if Strand becomes darker, that he might start sending out his hunters to start tracking down the people that he's decided out of Morgan's group don't make the cut.
Yeah.
Um and I could even see him going after Grace and the baby
Yikes.
because Grace turned him down. She was offered the opportunity to come in from the cold, so to speak, to live this life of luxury, and she said no.
No,
And the
thank
fact
you.
that she
Yeah.
turned him down has got to be, a shot to his ego. The fact that she's choosing to stay with Morgan, and Strand's ultimate goal is to have Morgan alone at the very end. There is no
Right.
one left. They're either with Strand or they're gone. So yeah, I mean I don't actually have an I it would not surprise me if he doesn't send someone out to kill Grace and the baby as another
Mm,
blow to Morgan.
yuck. I don't like it.
I don't either, but I'm just saying, you know, you can see
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, I can. I just I feel like the writers aren't using him in the best way. I feel like they wanted another villain and this was the easiest villain.
You know, I I they threw off nuclear bombs. This was not a well thought out plan, okay? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how, we're coming up on what, a couple more episodes before the mid-season. And we have a break. I'm
Mhm.
curious to see how the next couple episodes will shape out. We still haven't come across Alicia. I'm still thinking that will be like the last, episode 8,
Mhm.
Although I think next week's episode is called the name of the town. I think it's called Padre. So maybe we'll see her sooner. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
I looking at um the clips for next week. Um yeah, it's a little dark, but
and I
and
better not see one effing wrestling move.
and the CRM is in the next episode too.
Interesting. So that means,
Mhm.
okay, I did hear one little something about next episode, and it was purely by accident because people in general are not doing what we're doing. I feel like a lot of reviewers are watching that episode ahead and
Mhm.
posting early.
Yeah.
So I accidentally clicked on something and I'm like, oh shit, it's a spoiler. But I have a feeling. Do you want to know the spoiler?
Sure, why not?
It's little. Okay. Spoiler alert, everybody. I know everyone listening live has probably already watched it. But the spoiler alert is that this is probably Althea's last episode. The next one. So, like, period.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't know she was leaving the show, that actress.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, she's leaving. And they're saying episode 6 is her last episode. I'm like, oh, so I don't know what's gonna happen to her, if she's just gonna walk off or she's gonna die or what, because I obviously clicked out as soon as I heard that.
Huh.
But I'm like, well, that leaves me open for, you know, some interesting theories on what the next episode is gonna hold.
Yeah, 'cause, they show in the clip, uh, the CRM coming after, the group that was at the, converted, Airbnb or the
Mm-hmm.
converted B&B,
Mm-hmm.
and Morgan's with them, and and Al's there, and she's basically saying, "This is a cleanup crew. They're here to make sure that we're all gone so that their existence is kept a secret."
Right.
So
You
yeah,
think she'll
it's
fly off with her girlfriend or something else?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, that would be I mean, I wouldn't hate it,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I would prefer to watch I would honestly be happier to have her, fly off with her girlfriend than to be killed.
Yeah, same.
Um, so I guess we'll have to see.
Uh-huh. I
I
don't know.
actually
We'll see.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's kinda we should also talk at the very, very end, as the 3 amigos are riding off into the sunset. Um
Oh my god. I'm like, "These suckers." I'm like, "They look funny to me." But okay, yeah. I was kinda like hearing Katy Perry's Dark Horse in the back of my mind
Yeah.
as I'm watching them ride along.
And
Funny.
then they meet the group that everyone has been seeing since the very first episode of the season. This group of, I don't know, scavengers? I don't know
Yeah,
what you would call them.
I think that
And,
sounds
they're
right.
like, "We wanna find Padre, and you're gonna help us do it," so and I'm not sure why they think Dwight and Sherry will be able to do this. I mean, they are looking for it, don't get me wrong, a lot of people are looking for it, but, they specifically said, "You're good at finding things, we want you to find this for us."
Right. Which
Um
by the way, it's like they're like, "We have an offer," like, "Is this,
Mhm.
like, a threat or not?" Because one minute they're like, "Hey, we want you to join forces with us, but you're gonna do this." It's like,
Right.
"Well, which is it? Is it are you ordering us or asking us?"
Yeah.
I kinda feel like it's an order.
I well, the line kinda blurs on the show. Yeah, so, I mean, and I'm kinda curious. I want them to take their their hoods and everything off. I wanna see who these people are.
Hmm.
I kinda wanna know, I mean, are they leftovers of, um I said his name earlier, and now I forgot it. The
Oh,
crazy guy the crazy guy that set up
oh,
the
yeah. Ugh.
I
You
just said
just
his name.
you did, and it's, like, in my head too, but I don't know, whatever, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Are they leftovers of his group that didn't get into um, the underground housing? Or are they the ones that Alicia left behind because they weren't worthy as far as she was concerned? Who are these people? Exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Hmm.
I'm curious.
Well, I'm sure they'll tell us eventually, and
Teddy!
Teddy yeah,
Thank
Grimes girl,
you.
thanks. I'm like, I kept trying to say Timmy in my mind, I'm like, "That's not right."
I know, I had a couple different names, and I was really mad at myself because first I was proud because I'm like, "I remembered his name! No one had to
Yeah,
prompt me, it was Teddy!" And then I went to say it again, and my mind went, "Nope, you got it once, that's it, you got 1.
it's gone now.
It's gone. You got that
Oh
1."
gosh.
And so
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'm and I do kinda I'm wondering, because here's the thing, Morgan's been hearing, everyone else chattering about everything else. How is it that he's not run across Sherry and Dwight yet? How is this even
Yeah,
possible? They're out
it seems
roaming around
weird.
all over the place.
Mhm. Answering people's calls and all that other stuff,
Do
but
they have the CB radio? You know?
I'm sure when they cross paths, he'll say something like, "Oh, I heard about you guys on the radio."
Yeah.
Like, in
But I mean,
passing,
mhm.
huh,
So,
just to
anyway,
pull it back around. That's what they'll do.
yeah. So, do you wanna flip over to the other show now?
Yeah, I guess we can. That show was equally as crazy,
Yeah. We
but
got
for
some
different
answers though
reasons.
this week,
We
which
did,
is
and
kind of a nice
that
change.
show, it was a nice change. There was a lot going on in this episode of World Beyond, which is good,
Mhm.
good stuff.
Well, they've only got two episodes left? 3.
Yeah, yeah, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah,
So 3
3.
more episodes.
So they're starting to, this is how this show should have gone from the very beginning, from the very first season. But no, we're finally getting that pitch. And so I didn't hate it this week.
No, it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty interesting. Like I said, there was a lot going on and it kept my attention the entire time.
Mhm.
I really actually okay, so if I had to pick a few favorites, because like there were a lot of different groups of people we were seeing, different situations, but I think my favorite scenes were actually with Jennifer slash Huck. I really liked her skill, man. She was like able, I guess she's with Jadis most of those scenes
Mhm.
where she's like trying to not get herself caught, but also trying to look like she's solving things
Yeah.
and being slick on the side. I'm like, girl,
And
you're
and
pretty
honestly,
smart.
I've noticed, I mean, the character Huck really plays well off of Jadis.
Yes.
She I think the 2 of them actually have some good on-screen chemistry. I mean, not
Mm,
romantic I mean, just chemistry, you know?
right. Yeah.
Um, and I was kinda happy because, 1, it confirmed something that you and I had talked about before, which was the fact that the civilian government is completely unaware of what the military is doing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and the CRM wants to keep it that way. And and apparently their goal is to basically kill every single settlement off around them so that they are the only living humans left on that left on that continent, which just to me seems dumb.
Dumb. Yes, it is dumb. It is dumb. I don't quite understand the reasoning for that. Like, why do you want to be the only settlement left?
I'm gonna go back to it. This is Negan on a grand scale. This is Strand on a grand scale. This is Negan and Strand with an army, with an actual army. This is the governor with an army. These are people that I'm sure they probably started off with, we just need to make sure that we eliminate threats. And at first it was probably, the dead, obviously, and then people like Negan, people
Yeah.
like the governor. And then I think it just became a policy. And then the military is, if nothing else, good at tradition. Once something is started, they are loath to stop it. So I think what started off as a necessity at the beginning of the pandemic has now become a goal. The only people we can trust are ourselves. We know that we will not turn on ourselves. Other people might. Therefore, to secure ourselves, we will kill them all. And
Hmm.
and they're also using these deaths, they're doing wide scale experiments on
But see,
people.
this is what doesn't make sense to me. So, for example, when, old girl, whatever her name is, I can't think, y'all. What's the girlfriend's name? The doctor. Um when, she kind of says, "Hey," to, Jadis, "we're almost at 8 hours."
Mhm.
So, clearly the goal is to inflict this formula that keeps people from ever turning, right? And
Mhm.
the longer and longer they go without turning, they're being successful. So, what is the point of killing people now with these set formulas when they know that it won't sustain that long? So, it's like you're doing this, saying it's science, but you can't be. You haven't even gotten a formula
Well,
that will last 8 hours.
right. Well,
So,
but I think Lila said it best. This isn't about finding a right answer, it's about collecting data. And the o and
but
the
she does that every fucking day in the lab. Why do you have to go kill thousands of people to do the same test you run in a lab on one person every day?
because they're looking for the mutation.
Oh,
Eh,
that
you know
shit dumb.
yeah, but I mean, the easiest way to find a mutation, um, is to deliver it wholesale. If you want,
It's
it's kinda like, again, Stephen King's, The Stand. It killed 99% of the people, 1% lived. Could you have found that 1% without 99% of them dying? Probably not. Why? Wholesale numbers. Wholesale numbers give good data points. I'm not saying that it's humane. I'm not saying it's ethical, okay? I think she is vastly wrong in what she is doing. But from a purely scientific point of view, she is right. It's not about being right. It's about collecting data, and they are collecting data. And I think part of what they're doing is to see how long it took for the entire population to turn. Were there any that didn't turn at all? They know that the gas is 100% deadly, so if they're going in there and then watching these people die, is there a group of them that don't turn, or it took them longer to turn, and so they probably are
But
collecting
with that
those
many people,
samples.
I'm sorry. I see what you're saying, Lisa, but I don't see how killing that, because whatever serum they are using to try to, stop the turn is in that death gas,
Mhm.
right? They're
Right.
together. They're delivering it as one.
Mhm.
When you have that many people die, how are you going to like look and see who's not turning? It's not like a group of 100. It's thousands and thousands of people. Like, how are you going to, with what eye? Who's watching all of those people to see who's turning? It's
Right.
so many scattered all over the place in this central area. There's no way that can be scientific.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. I mean, and Lydia even said they're all going to die anyway. They were going to be killed. I used it for science.
So she's like,
Um,
I might as well get something out of it.
yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. Um, she she was utilizing their wholesale deaths to try and collect as much data as possible because the deaths were happening either way. The CRM, while they do want a cure, and they do, um, uh, I'm sure they're assuming at this point there are still, they're gonna kill off their biggest competition, and if they're going after Portland next, then after that, I would almost think maybe the Commonwealth would be the next target? They'd
Mm,
have to be. Um, but anyway, once they get rid of these large scale populations, then they could just go after these, the little piddly communities like Alexandria. You know, Alexandria will be absolutely no threat to them whatsoever. Strand's group will be absolutely no threat to them whatsoever.
mm,
So, that they know that there'll still be for a while these little pockets of humanity that they can just experiment on. They're not
yeah.
concerned. They've got and if push comes to shove, they'll use it on the less desirables in their own community.
Well, that's very cocky of them because they think there are no more scientists in the world, no more doctors, no more that exist than the ones that they have in their little
Mhm.
community. They're stupid. I'm sorry.
I know. And they are. But again, I mean, just power does not, might does not always make right, but it does make things damn inconvenient for the rest of us. And they're
Yeah.
convinced in their rightness, and they're willing to go to whatever extreme to ensure that they're it.
And this is
They're the
why
only it.
I can understand why Jennifer slash Huck is gonna go off. She's off the rails, right? She's
Oh
not
yeah,
drank the Kool-Aid. Because I don't care what you explain to me, you cannot make that make sense in my mind. It doesn't. I don't
right.
give a shit. I'm with Jennifer. I'm jumping ship. I'm
Yeah,
trading. I'm changing games, changing lanes, whatever needs to be done.
yeah.
Because that sounds crazy, cuckoo
Now,
crazy.
honestly, doesn't surprise me a bit that Jadis is on board. That's right up her alley. You know,
Oh yeah.
Batshit crazy. She specializes, and 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 Jadis kind of had that same. She did it retail. What the CRM is doing wholesale. If you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, in her junkyard, the gauntlet that they'd have people go through and everything else. So none of this is going against her moral compass. I mean, it's right up her alley. She has no issues.
Yeah.
Um, she's and because the thing of it is Jadis she isn't a bad person. She isn't a good person either. She's neutral. She's chaotic neutral. So
Hmm.
it good enough convincing. If we kill everyone off, we will be safe. And I can see her go, yeah, that was working for me in the junkyard too. Okay, yeah, I get it. You know, so as long as we protect our own, because you can see that she was very, very protective of her people in the junkyard. Um,
Hmm.
and she has taken that same attitude, and she's very, very protective of the CR, and the CRM. So, again, this is not outside of her ethos, I guess you could say, because, um, she's always behaved like this. So it's not anything outside of her wheelhouse. But Huck, on the other hand, has idolized her mother, and has always seen what they were doing as a force for good, not just for them, but for the general state of affairs in the world. Is she thought it was to spread the light of, freedom and, security to these other communities. And so, yeah, her entire she finds out her mom is not just a bad guy, but I mean, she's like a super villain bad, you know?
Yeah, but also And I think this is also why, Jadis was like trying to see if she had flipped or not. But Jennifer's a soldier. Jennifer trained her. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
She's been a
Yeah.
soldier longer than anything. So even though she has her own ideas of right and wrong, they're hoping that she's a soldier first and she will follow orders and stay the course.
Right. You know, just to see that, yes, we're gonna go through a rough patch right now, and some people are gonna have to die, but ultimately, it's for the ultimate good. It's for the greater good. And that's and I've noticed that there's been a lot of that branding around by, the more or less bad guys in this is it's always about the greater good. This is how we make tomorrow.
Right.
This is
And whose
about
opinion, though, is tainted. That idea
it
of the
is.
greater good is tainted. Like, it's poisoned.
Oh, yeah, it
So,
absolutely is.
yeah.
Um, but these guys have fed themselves this line of BS and they're believers. They drank the Kool-Aid.
Mhm.
And some of them are probably just in so deep, they're like, "Yeah, there's no getting out of it now. I was here at the beginning. I guess I'm gonna be here for the end." You know?
And I mean, speaking of the Kool-Aid, I actually did like the scene where Iris, like, confronts Hope about, like, "What are you on? Like, ever since you got here, you're just defending these people until their asses almost get caught."
Yeah. Well, and I think what it is, I mean, or, Hope looks at everyone and said or looks at, like, the scientists and the ones that are trying to solve this problem going, "We need these people. We need this science. We need, to without them, I there's no future. We'll have to start over again from scratch." Um, Iris, on the other hand, is like, "Burn it to the ground and let God sort them out." And I think they're both kind of going to these extremes. They're both seeing it as a way to save people, but, you know they need a compromise in the middle. Yes, burn the CRM to the ground, absolutely. But I do agree with Hope. They do need to save the teachers and the scientists and the smart people. The students that are there that have been taken, brought in on the quote unquote exchange program. They didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't,
No.
be burned to the ground.
No, and
Um,
I don't think I don't think Iris literally meant kill everyone. I think
oh,
she
I think she
meant
does. I think
I
she means
don't.
raise that place to the I think what it is,
She
it's not that
doesn't
she
want them to have anything left to come back to and try to
yeah.
regenerate or try to regroup.
Well, I
And
think
I
what it
agree with
is it's
that.
I don't think it's that I think it's she doesn't specifically, there's obviously some specific people she wants dead. Um, but if, she's not she is completely unconcerned with collateral damage at this point. She doesn't want everyone she's not specifically wanting everyone to die. But if a lot of them die that didn't deserve to die, well, that's okay as long as we can get rid of, the CRM. And hope is no, we need to save as many as we can. It's not everyone, you know.
Hope is like, we need to save the brainiac. She's not worried about the guy serving her meatloaf.
Right. And I get that, but I mean it is two different and I'm going to go with I'm siding more with the hope side of it. Um yeah, burn the military part to the ground. Hell, bring the city to its knees, but get as many people, innocent people, out as possible because it's a big fucking city and most of it isn't military. You
Yes.
know,
But the question becomes, and I think, Lila made a good point of a good example of this, right? You're gonna die. If they catch you, you're dying.
right,
Period. So the question then becomes, how do we do that without alerting anyone what we're doing?
right.
How do you do that?
Get a hold of the civilian government who has completely unaware of anything that's going on.
Which, by the way, they might just have a little leverage thanks to Hope in her little friendship
Yeah.
with old boy. So
Mhm. I mean, that would be my
Maybe.
suggestion. I mean, because it's been stated several different ways. The civilian
Yeah.
government is completely clueless as to what is going on.
Oh, yeah.
So, let them know. I mean, it's you
Not
know,
like you can just walk in there and knock on their door. "Hey, we got some news for you."
no, but their father could.
They watching his ass like a hawk now.
Yeah. And I get that, but I mean or Huck could.
Maybe she could. As long as she keeps, like, under the radar, she might be able to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to get around it, but like I said, the one way to get out as many civilians as possible that are not involved in this is to let the government, the civilian government know. So I mean, it's not a
And
perfect
then
solution.
but not
And
only this, think about how quickly Hope drank the Kool-Aid. The father
mhm,
was drinking the Kool-Aid until he realized what the heck was actually going on. All of those teachers, all of those scientists, they believe they're doing something for a different reason
right.
than what they're doing it. So you're going to say, "Hey, everybody, what you've been told, what you've been believing for years, however long you've been here is bullshit. Leave right now." And people are just going to be like, "Okay, sure." I don't know. I don't think it's that easy.
I mean, again, I'm not saying that any of this is gonna be easy. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's gonna be a lot of people. I mean, the fact is in this situation, there is no good way to go about any of it. There's no cautious way to go about any of it. It's either all in or all out. It's
Mhm.
because um if they do nothing, then they're complicit, and Portland's going, and so is the rest of the world. And as soon as Portland goes, it's going to be bad. And if I was Hope, I would begin by telling all those kids that are from Portland, hey,
Your place is about to go boom.
yeah, um,
Mm.
that if I had been her, that's the very first thing I would have done. I would have because there's a whole bunch of them. Tell them all. If you're from Portland, this is everything that happened to Omaha is going to happen. We have proof, and let them
Interesting.
know. And I think
I
that
don't
there's enough
know.
doubts. I think there's enough doubts because you can kind of see that the kids, they're not stupid. If they were stupid, they wouldn't be there. Um, and so yeah, I mean, if nothing else, they can get the ball rolling. And this is based on CW mentality. So let the kids start the revolution.
Well, I definitely can tell from, the little clips of next week, especially after seeing at the end of this episode, Jennifer slash Huck go, I don't know what to call the girl, right? I'm going to call her Jennifer. She goes and tells her husband, right?
Yeah,
And then she sees, you know, what's his damn name?
Silas.
Gee, Silas, yes, thank you. And
I'm two
she's
for
like,
two
"Well,
today. Sorry.
yes." And she's like, I guess we have to have a conversation."
Yeah, because he
So,
looks like he
looks
want to
like,
kill her. You know.
oh yeah, he was holding that weapon like, "Girl, I'm about to take your head off." But now I can tell that there's going to be some kind of cooperation between them
hmm
to try to work with the people inside of there. They're not
Well,
just
even
going to
what's
let
his
it
name?
be.
The con artist. He went there for the sole purpose. He was sitting there in Huck's room, waiting to kill her. Damn the
Yeah.
consequences. And when she got done telling him what's going on, he's like, "Okay, yeah, I gotta let her live. I guess I gotta work with her. Okay, it's
Yeah.
bad."
Like, yeah, I couldn't kill her because this shit is worse than that.
Yeah,
Like, it's
this is
bigger than
worse.
that. Right. Like, I gotta put
So,
it aside. Yeah, she tried to kill me, but I gotta put it aside for now.
hmm
Not to say he won't try to kill her again later, but for
yeah.
now, I don't
So
know. We'll
yeah,
see. I mean, they've got 3 episodes to clean this up and wrap it up. So,
what'd you think of Lydia's
whatever
death
they do can't be that complicated because
or
they don't
Lila?
have a whole lot of time to unravel it all. You know what I mean?
What'd you think of Lila's death?
Ah! I'm like that. I'm like, that's what you get, girl. I'm sorry. I didn't feel bad for her at all, but I did think the little hand on the glass was pretty fun. Like I think that was
Yeah.
in the trailer if I remember correctly.
I gotta tell you, I'm watching her run around, okay, and obviously, okay, because Jadis made the comment, you're right, that, about the rats,
Yeah.
the rats will eventually get tired, but the dead do not, which means that her office was bugged.
Oh yeah. That
So
was a dead
Jadis knew
giveaway.
exactly what was going on from the get-go.
And she said that to Jennifer. She said, "Oh, I already knew. I knew."
Yeah.
It's because she was listening.
Mhm. Um, but I gotta tell you, I'm watching her run around in that room, and all I could think of is, "Man, if that was anyone from over on the Walking Dead side, they would have figured out a way to kill the thing, even if it was with the ballpoint pen." You know?
She walked in there without anything, and she barely ran around. She's like, "Oh, let me out. Oh, oh." And then she just gives up. I'm like, "Damn, that didn't take but a millisecond for that thing to kill you."
Personally, I mean, but again, she has been in the CRM or the CR for since almost the very beginning, you know? But I'm thinking, well, she's got a lab coat, she could have thrown it over its head, you know? It's the bite that's the problem, and, you know, there's things that
Oh, yeah, she
we
coulda
had just
took her
watched on The
jacket off
Walking
and
Dead.
tried to cover its head or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, they coulda covered her head,
Yeah.
and we just saw on The Walking Dead that the one wrestler took it and just kept banging the head against the pole. I mean, they got that nice metal table there.
She's
Um,
too weak.
yeah, I know.
She's just a frail doctor and a coach, never
I'm here
I
to
don't
tell you, if I
know.
was locked in a room like that, I'd at least give it, an honest to God try and put something over, take my lab coat off and put it over its head and, try to trundle it up.
Same. I feel like if I was gonna get bitten, I was gonna go down fighting, not like, "Oh, help."
Yeah, running around like a damsel in distress. I'm not saying that I'd absolutely win, okay, because okay, let's face it, guys, I'm old. Um, but you know, I'm not as spry as I was 20 years ago. But again,
Well, in a death situation, you might be faster and stronger than you
yeah.
think you are.
Well, and I was just gonna say adrenaline is your
Yeah.
friend, and I am
Yeah,
sure that there would have been a jolt of adrenaline at least, and
right.
and I'm not one to lay down lightly in any circumstances. So yeah, I mean, it's they don't walk very fast. She could have kept walking in circles and take you. She could have conserved her energy, taken off her coat, and basically just picked up her speed to get up behind it, throwing the
Yeah.
coat over its head. And at that point, the threat is essentially neutralized.
Mhm.
The danger is the bite, you
Yeah,
know?
but ultimately, even if by some chance she would have killed the walker,
She was
then
still
Jadis
locked
would
in
have
a
opened
room.
the door and shot her in the head or something.
Yeah, I
She was
know.
gonna die.
I'm
You
just
know?
saying, I would not have,
Yeah.
you know, being shot in the head is a much cleaner death than what she experienced. That's all I'm
Oh, I know.
saying. You know?
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. I would have fought. I wouldn't have just let it eat me.
Yeah. But I tell you what, you could tell that it took just about everything Huck had not to throw up.
She was like, okay, when she told her to undo the restraints, she's like, "Excuse me?"
Hello?
Like, "What?"
What are we doing
She's
here?
like, "You heard what I said. Cut him loose." I'm like, "Oh my god, this woman crazy. Jadis
Mhm.
is crazy.
Well,
She
we
don't give a
knew that.
care."
Jadis is she is what she is.
I know it just reinforces it like, dang,
Yeah.
she has like no feeling. She's ice cold.
No. Yeah, she has. Look at her field of fucks. It is barren. You know?
Exactly. She's got none to give.
She has none to give.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think and here's the thing. If this show had been like the last 2 episodes, I actually would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's it wouldn't have been my favorite, but it would not have been, "Oh god, here we go."
Mhm.
Ah, you know? So, I don't know why I don't know. The writers suddenly had a panic attack and went, "Oh, we have to do something good," in these last 4 episodes, because I'm here to tell you, everything before these last 4 episodes have pretty much just been a waste. They could have had
Mhm.
everything in the last season and a half shoved into probably 2 or 3 episodes and gone from there,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, it could have been a one-season show,
Yeah,
one and done. And it would have been more fun because if you compact everything like, this was a good episode to me.
yeah.
Like, I don't know how many times I've even said this episode is good on this show. Maybe one other time?
The
Maybe?
last episode, you and I agreed on the last episode. I think that was the
Yeah.
last time. I think those are
Y
the only 2 times, because every before that was like, "Well, it wasn't terrible this time." You know?
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, just imagine, like, I hope I'm not like, I need to knock on wood or something because I don't want to jinx the end of the show. But if they keep this pace up, because they do have a lot to wrap up still, we got some good
Yeah.
explanations and some good information, but now we have to clean this shit up.
Mhm.
So hopefully they can keep the pace up through the end.
I hope so. Because 'Cause I'd be really disappointed if they just kinda petered at "Oh, we give you 2 good episodes out of, what, 20?
Yeah,
And then just suck it up, man." You know?
right, right. Uh, we shall see. I liked it. Yeah, I still think I like the adults more than the kids though.
Yeah,
The
you know?
adults are acting their asses off. The kids are still kind of meh.
Yeah. Well, and like I
Except for
said,
some reason, I still like Silas's character though. I still like his
I
scenes.
I did kinda like you to briefly talk on it, the interaction between Silas and Jadis. I thought that was kind of funny because, in a way that the 2 of 'em are very similar to each other.
Yeah.
They both had this kind of detached, odd view of the world, you know? And I don't know, it was just kind of interesting to watch the 2 of them interact with each other. Because Silas isn't gonna give himself up unless it's completely inadvertently. He'll just kinda he'll play the dumb card. He
Oh
is
yeah.
really good at playing that dumb card. And, because of the way he is so detached from people in general. And I think Jadis really did sense a kindred spirit in him. She's like, "Oh, you wanna be in the
Yeah.
military? Think you could be a good soldier?" Because I think she really did. I think she kinda, in her own weird way, liked him.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I also think, she's no dummy. I also think she knew he was lying about being lost, but she let it go. That's why she
Mhm.
threatened him the way she did.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, don't make me regret this." But she felt something about him, so she let it go this one time.
Mhm.
Like, she didn't
Well,
know
and
what he was doing, right? She
right.
obviously didn't connect the dots,
Well,
but
no,
she
she even
didn't think he was lost.
she did say something, "Were you looking for your friends?"
Yeah.
So I think she was fairly aware, but again, I mean, the fact is he wasn't reacting like most people would in that situation. He's very docilely complied. He didn't
Oh,
try to
Grimes
protest, he
girl.
didn't, you know,
Yeah,
and
okay, so, Lisa, hold on, let's answer this
yeah.
question.
Sure.
Grimes girls ask, that scene where with Silas and Jadis about his feet, do you think they took Rick's boots so that he couldn't run? Hmm,
I don't know.
maybe.
Maybe. Or it could just be that, it's something that they do. Most people wouldn't take off without their shoes, for fear of
Well, most people's
stepping on
feet are
something.
soft and they would be tore up in a couple of miles.
Yeah.
But like she said, with those clompers, quote unquote,
Right.
she said you can skip rocks with them things, basically.
And she seemed
Um,
really impressed with his feet. Well, and I think part of it
yeah.
is too is, there's a certain part of her that probably equates, soft hands, soft feet with being a soft person.
Uh-huh.
And there's really nothing soft about Silas.
Oh,
You
no.
know, he's quiet, he can be very docile when he's not enraged, but there's nothing soft about him, you know? And I think she was kinda poking at him a little bit because I think she wanted to see what he would say because, you know, he didn't he didn't demand his shoes back, he didn't he wasn't upset with anything that they had he wasn't acting upset, outwardly on anything that they had done, and I think that really made her curious about him. You know,
That's
why is he
like
so
his
different?
character, though. His character has always been consistent in that way. It's like
Mhm.
either he's docile or he's rage killing, so rage
Exactly.
fighting. So it's
Mhm.
like it takes so much for, his like rage comes out. But other than that, you could talk shit a long time probably.
Mhm.
And he'll just be like, okay.
Alright. He's very
Yeah.
he's very compliant,
Yeah.
until until there's an imminent threat to his own personal safety.
Mhm.
And then, he will react. But, I mean, even when he turned himself, you know, when he turned himself in, to help Percy get away, he was, again, he just complied.
Yeah.
Which is probably why they let him survive is because he didn't fight it, he didn't protest, he just existed, and like I said, considering the kind of person that Jadis is, I think she finds him very interesting.
Hmm. We'll see if
And I
they
think
run
she
into each other
recognizes
again.
and I think she recognizes a bit of herself in him, because I think that Jadis is kind of the exact same way. She is very detached. She doesn't see the world like everyone else does. She's not stupid, and he isn't stupid, but I think the world doesn't give them the credit that they really deserve because people just kind of slide right past them, you know? And the only reason they're really not with Jadis right now is simply the rank that she holds, that she's exerting herself?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that that interaction between the two of them, and I think she's gonna try to entice him with cookies to come over to the dark side.
Oh, it's not gonna work. I feel like
It's No, it's not.
Silas is very loyal as well.
Mhm. Well, and I did find that interesting too when they finally got back to the compound. Silas is like, "I wasn't lost."
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even giving an excuse. He's just like, "I wasn't lost."
No, I think he senses like he could trust that guy
Mhm.
for some reason. And like he tells him, he's like, I know. He's like, I know you weren't. He wasn't
Mhm.
dumb either. Neither no one in that situation knew he was lost. No one
Yeah.
believed he was lost. He really got out of that by the skin of his teeth, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And I think if that had been Percy, oh, he absolutely would have been nailed to the wall.
Oh,
If it had been any of the other kids, but Silas is just he's different, and I think it gives him a pass in places that it wouldn't normally people wouldn't normally get a pass,
hmm
you know? So, anyway. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm curious. I'm really hoping next week keeps up this momentum because, if they can do this for for the remaining 3 episodes, I'll be happy.
I
Finally.
know. Just make it make sense in the end, like all the way. Just
Mhm.
like tie it up with a pretty bow, give us the teaser we all want, and I'll be a happy camper. I will applaud you, even though it took way too long to get here.
Mhm. So, I guess
Yeah.
we'll see.
I know we got 3 more weeks of this show. And even though I'm enjoying it now, I'm still ready for it to be over.
Oh yeah, I am too. And I'm gonna be real truthful. I don't think at the end of this that the CRM is gonna be destroyed.
No, probably not, because we're going to see him in the movies. But who knows if that's going to be forward or back. Is it going to be back to find
Mhm.
out what happened to Rick, or is it going to be forward with flashbacks of what happened to him?
Yeah. I don't
Like
know.
what?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's I don't know, since since all 3 shows are on a different timeline, it's really kinda hard to say, but I'm pretty sure at this I'm almost willing to bet at this point that at the end of this show, they might be able to save Portland, um, but I don't believe that the CRM is going to be, even dented.
I think that they may make some type of immediate, impact like you said about Portland, but no,
Mhm.
definitely it it would take they would have to take out maybe 3 or 4 people to make a dent in how the military operates. 3 or 4
Mhm.
top people at least.
At
At
least.
least. And we don't know if they can even accomplish that. I mean, that's a tall order.
Yeah. I mean, it would be people like Jadis and, Huck's mother,
Yep.
and I'm all
What's
of her
his face
lieutenants.
father? Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not really, like I said, I don't know how they're planning on ending the show, but I know it's not gonna be with the destruction of the CRM. It just I can't
That's a
imagine
tall
it.
order.
A
Yeah.
tall order. So, I
For a
guess we'll
bunch of
find
kids.
out.
Mm,
Yep.
we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, I guess we're done. What do you think, Lisa?
I think we're done.
Okay, it was a great conversation. Thanks everyone who joined us here on YouTube and on Facebook. Appreciate you guys. And as always, we'll be back here same time next week. So be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. Subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Facebook so you don't miss the live notifications. And we will
Yeah.
see you guys next week. All right, guys.
Yay.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.